Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze, Breezeway Productions The Breeze, where we bring you the latest in independent films and film festival news. And we're excited to kick off our coverage of this year's Tribeca Film Festival, the 2024 edition, with a really cool doc film that came across my desk that I'm excited to talk about called They're Here, a great UFO doc, which I was excited to check out. We have co-directors Daniel Claridge and Pacho Velez here with us to talk about it. How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing well. Thanks for having us, Alex.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show to talk about They're Here. So tell me a little bit about They're Here.
Yeah, They're Here is a film about a bunch of upstate New Yorkers who have seen UFOs and are trying to make sense of what they saw. And it's really a film that's I think we like to say it's kind of less about the astronomy, the question of what's in the sky, and it's much more about what's in our hearts and our heads. And so it's really about people making sense of their experience and finding community and finding meaning and connection from these otherworldly encounters.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. When I read up on it, I found it to be very intriguing because I love stories like docs about UFO encounters. You found this group of people in upstate New York that share these common experiences. Tell me, like, how did you two get into the whole idea of UFOs, or find that subject matter to be interesting? Yeah.
Well, there was that abduction experience. No, we got into it like I think with the rest of the country, there was just suddenly, like, whatever it was, 2017. Suddenly there was, like, these news reports in the New York Times and the New Yorker and all these places being like, yeah, UFOs are a thing, and like the government kind of like has all this sort of documentation of these sightings. And suddenly it went from being a kind of like a kind of an off limits topic to something that, like, just regular people were talking about. And it was really interesting to us because um as part of that sort of shift, like, people in our own lives started to talk about their UFO sightings. One of Dan's neighbors had a sighting in the 60s, and just started telling us about it. And this sort of willingness on people's parts to sort of take it seriously and come forward and discuss these things was exciting for us, and sort of felt it made us feel like this was kind of a new moment in UFO interest. And so we started researching UFO sightings in New York, and it turns out there's a lot in New York. There's a lot of them out on Long Island where you are. There's also a bunch in the Hudson Valley, and then up near Rochester, up near the Great Lakes up there. And so whenever we made a couple films, and usually a film starts with like a kind of a question or an interest, or it's like, okay, so a lot of people are seeing these things. If we accept that these are just people, regular people having these sightings, then something is going on, right? And like, what is that something? And how do we get to the bottom of that? How do we talk to people, and how do we understand, like, um, what people think is happening for them, and what one of our jokes always is, it would have been nice to figure out who built the pyramids, but it's just not, um, at the end of the day, like, the thing that really, like, animates us is people, and talking to people and seeing what's going on in their
Yeah.
minds, and like understanding how they sort of think about the world. Um,
You got a lot of colorful characters in this doc. You find people that were in this group that gathered together to talk about their experiences. Tell me a little bit about the subjects that you spoke with, and then how you knew that they would be the ones to make this doc really vibrant and get your
sure.
story across.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us it was, I mean, ufology is a big world, and there's certainly, you know, a lot of people who, you know, do the lecture circuit or write books about UFOs. But for us, we were really interested in people whose like relationship to the phenomenon was much more personal and emotional. And so we were really interested in people who maybe had an experience but weren't sure what to make of it. And I think crucially for a film, we're in the process in a kind of present tense way of like doing something with their experience, you know. So, you know, one of our characters, Twon, is a aspiring stand-up comedian who had a sighting, and he's trying to turn his experience, having seen something and then being told on the internet that it wasn't a UFO, trying to turn that into comedy. Another one of our characters, Dave, you know, had an experience where he saw something, he submitted it to the news. The news kind of poo-pooed his sighting, and he's on this kind of spiritual quest to figure out the significance of what happened. So, you know, we certainly talked to a lot of people who had experiences, you know, as Pacho mentioned, you know, in the 60s, or they remembered some fleeting encounter in the 80s, you know, in the Hudson Valley, but they had sort of had many years to kind of process it, and they weren't sort of acting out some sort of present tense thing. And so for us, I think a lot of it was finding characters who were up to something and who had a kind of open mind and open heart about what they were going through.
Yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I would say that it was also super important to us that the characters were genuine in their belief. Like, America's full of like hucksters and like people who are like, you know, like sort of like confidence men and flim flam artists, and like that whole, like there's a whole tradition of that in American culture too. And like for us, it was very important that we find people who are like are genuine and heartfelt in their understanding of their experience. There's a moment in the film where one of the characters is like invited to undergo hypnosis, and he like can't get himself there, but he's honest about the fact that he can't get himself there. And like it would have been so easy for him to make up a story, and sort of something that he wasn't genuinely experiencing, but he wasn't prepared to do that because he's like a true believer. You know, it's not a kind of pose for like the Maury Povich show or something. You know, it's like these people are just really inside of it.
Yeah, he also like traumatically discovering things in his subconscious, like that bring him to the point of breaking down. The other guy that was really trying to find inner meaning, you know, who worked all the time and wanted to retire, but the board game guy was super cool to see about how he was able to make that, and then, you know, sell that off to people that also found the interest. And you know, there's some really cool things also happened with the stand-up comedy guy, which was a really nice little added effect to the movie. So to capture that was cool. Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I saw this and you talk about finding people with interest with UFOs, and that, yes, New York does have a lot of sightings that are captured when they're, you know, put into the analysis. I myself have also seen things that I cannot explain in regards to the UFO phenomenon. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, cool. So it's others, and they all gather together to talk about them. And that you have one main character who I have to talk about, who's initially who the movie starts with, and then she talks about her experiences of being abducted thousands of times, and just the way that she comes across is just so eerily comforting, yet off-putting, yet interesting and awkward. Could you tell me a little bit about her, because she was just so, I don't know, awesome to watch as a character.
Yeah, you're talking about Cookie Stringfellow.
What a name. Yeah.
And she lives in Rochester, and she's kind of a big figure in the New York UFO scene. She's sort of a grandmother in this space, and she for about a 15 years now has run a very popular UFO meetup group in Rochester, where she brings in guests, and she's sort of created this wonderful community of people who are interested in UFOs that they get together. I think for us, one of the appeals to Cookie is that, you know, for her, it's so matter of fact that UFOs exist in the world, and they visit us on this regular basis. And she recounts, you know, one or two of her own abduction stories. And, you know, I think we thought about this film again as a film, a documentary about a world in which UFOs are real. I mean, our film was not out to sort of prove or disprove, the existence of UFOs. It was meeting people where they were at. And so for us, like, Cookie was this great portal, this kind of matter-of-fact way into this world.
She's incredible. Hey, Cookie, if you watch this or listen to this, just let you know that this journalist loves you. You're an amazing person, and I really I encourage you to do what you do, because I think it's cool. You bring people together, and I'll wind it down by saying that this film is an official selection of the Tribeca Film Festival, the 2024 edition. Do you know when and where your film will be premiering at the festival this year?
At the Velez Cinema on Saturday, January 8th at 2 p.m. Sorry, June. Sorry.
It's okay.
We're still in it. We're still like
yeah, you guys just finished getting everything together for the premiere, and then you got some other screenings like June 11th at 8:15 at the Village East, and Saturday, June 15th at 5:45 also at the Village East. So you're gonna have a couple of times to catch this film. They're here. And in closing, if you can describe this film in your own words to audiences, how would you describe it?
I mean, I guess I'd say it's a film about subjective experience. It's a film about like going on a ride with some people who've had sightings and want to know why, and it's a chance to like be inside their heads and see the world from their point of view. And it's not like science versus like mysticism or anything like that. It's like really like it's about being with people who've had these experiences and spending an hour and a half living in that world with them.
Done. Okay, very cool. Well, we hope everyone is able to check it out. The film They're Here. I have to say it like that just because it's an amazing saying. Directors Daniel Claridge and Pacho Velez, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your film premiering at Tribeca, They're Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.